This is the Tuesday, February 5th meeting of the Oshkosh Committee on Aging. We'll call the meeting to order, and roll call, please.
Sue Ashton. Here. Claude Benedict.
Here.
Lurton Blassingame.
Here.
Ron Durkop.
Here.
Sandy Kleckel. Judy Ritchie.
Here.
Deb Allison Osby. Jean Willerman. Here.
Okay, I'm going to take this just a little bit out of order for the agenda. We received a resignation from Peggy Bellin citing all the changes that she's had at work. She wishes us good luck. And in the meantime, last fall already, we had received an application for the committee with no vacancy available at that time. An application from Heidi Basford Kirchhoff, and she is still interested. She's been at a couple of our meetings, and so I asked her to come and be at the table today, be part of the discussion. We'll give her a little bit of a training. In the meantime, I've also sent a request to Mayor Cummings to have her appointed to fill Peggy's unexpired term, which will end the end of May next year. So, welcome, Heidi.
Thank you.
Okay.
We do it Rotary.
That's a good thing for me.
It's the understanding that we have is that she will be appointed at the next council meeting. Do we have any citizen statements from Aaron or Heidi? Okay. Moving forward, I'd like to introduce Holly Keenan, Making the Ride Happen, and Kaylee. And then we're also going to have Aaron Roberts from the Health Department participating in part of the discussion. And it will be on a lot of good information on transportation. So, Holly, would you like to go ahead?
Sure. I brought along some handouts that kind of describes the project in detail, so I'd ask that you please take one of those. My name is Holly Keenan, and I'm the program manager for a program that's been around for a long time, a program of Lutheran Social Services, and we basically try to connect people with transportation options. So if somebody can't drive, or they have a temporary illness that they can't drive, or they're not driving at all, they can call our office, and we're going to do our best to hook them up with the existing services that are out there. And I've been around in this position for about 15 years, and over the years I've identified that there are some gaps. We're very lucky. We have a lot of transportation options in the Winnebago County and the city of Oshkosh, but there are gaps, and that's my job, is to try to find solutions to those gaps. And the project I'm here to talk a little bit about today is called Winnebago Catch a Ride. We're going to show you a little video that'll kind of explain it, and then I'll go through some details, and then you guys can ask a lot of questions. And Kaylee, I brought Kaylee along because she is like my partner. She's kind of the lead person. I'll let her explain who she works for and what she's here to do. So go ahead, Kaylee.
So I'm Kaylee, and I'm an AmeriCorps member with the Winnebago County Health Department, but I spend 50% of my time working on this Winnebago Catch a Ride project and supporting it in any ways that I can. So.
Yeah, so she is going to show you the video. Can you do that for me, Kaylee?
Overview of Phoenix.
Yeah, why don't you do that one first?
So Winnebago Catch a Ride is a pilot project of Phoenix Mobility Rising, which has projects going in a few different areas in the U.S., including South Carolina, Michigan, and Texas, and here in Winnebago County.
World based over 1 billion people worldwide still lack adequate access to transportation. That is almost 1 in 7 people globally. That means they lack transportation to basic resources and living a healthy life. This includes access to medical care, education, and even groceries. That's why we focus on an individual's quality of life first, then map their access to transportation with innovation. So how do we do that? Seniors, individuals with disabilities, or anyone in need can use an app, website, or call center to access any of our transportation partners in the community. Passengers, caregivers, or nurses can also schedule a ride with a tap, click, or call. Our mobility leadership consists of local community stakeholders who work together to fill gaps in resources for those in need and set goals for improvement. Phoenix is making opportunities accessible by enhancing transportation options for vulnerable and underserved communities. Join us.
So Make the Ride Happen and Public Health, and there's also individuals from the Division of Workforce Development, and then we have somebody from Planning, has been working on this issue of transportation for a long time, and we never had a solution. And so we were able to learn about this Phoenix program, another nonprofit, and their mission, as you see, was to try to connect people with transportation by engaging the community. So that's why I'm here today, is to hopefully engage you guys and show you how you can maybe help us with this effort. So Phoenix is partnering with our program to try to connect people with another form of transportation. So what's the other one we're going to show, Kaylee, again?
It's volunteer driver.
Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about that. So basically what this partnership is going to do, it's going to give us some technology, as you saw, for us to connect people with transportation options, and they are helping us connect individuals in the community who might be willing to volunteer drive. And our hope is that we're going to be able to bring together a group of community people that are willing to help with this effort. They would use the technology, and they'd get paid, and we'll talk about that later, they would get paid for their mileage. And it's the whole issue is people helping others in the community. That's kind of our emphasis. So I'm already doing that right now with our program right now, but we need to recruit more drivers to help fill those gaps. And so Phoenix is partnering with us and helping us to recruit those drivers. And our hope is that you'll be able to spread the word, and if there are people that you may know that might be willing to do it. It's very flexible. They can donate what they want, when they want. We do have the ability for this technology. It's much like an Uber driver, okay, where the person could use the technology on their smartphone. But if the individual doesn't want to do that, they can work through our office, and we'll connect them, because that's what we do every day. We connect our volunteers with people who need rides. So you don't have to be techie, but we do have the ability to bring that into this picture. And the goal down the road is, our big main focus right now is employment rights. We have employers at the table that are just begging us to find solutions because they see that there's people out there wanting to work, but they don't have a ride.
Employers only in the Oshkosh area. My wife helps people get to Alliance and Ripon. Is that possible?
Yeah, we've heard that. We've heard that too. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to depend on where the volunteers are that we recruit. I mean, what we're struggling with right now is we're having trouble with that piece of it. And the ones that we do have, correct me if I'm wrong, Kaylee, a lot of them do live in the Oshkosh area. Is that correct?
Volunteers?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so not all of those people want to drive outside the area. So we need to find that right person that is willing to do that. Not everybody's willing to drive. So why don't we show the next one, Kaylee? And I'll go into some more detail.
Well,
So Kaylee, can you kind of just go into maybe some of the details about the benefits and the qualifications of a volunteer driver?
Yeah, so the benefits of the volunteer driving is of course, just giving back and that feeling that people get. You also receive paid mileage. So the mileage you receive is at the federal reimbursement rate. So our flyers have the 54 cents from last year, and so does the report. But it's a federal reimbursement rate, so it's up to 58 cents right now. And the driver is able to choose if they want to donate that back to a nonprofit organization, or if they want to keep it because it is reimbursement for the wear and tear on the car, of course, and the gas that they're using. And there's also an option to donate 50% of it, so you get to keep some to help with gas costs, but then also you get to give back because the type of people that are going to be helping care about the community and want to give back. So we like to provide that option as well. And it's flexible. Every volunteer driver that I've been setting up, I tell them as many times as I can, I don't want you to feel pressured to take any rides that you don't want to or feel committed to anything more than you need to, but when you can help us, we really appreciate it. So the schedule is very flexible. And we do background checks to make sure that there's nothing, related to something that is not good for a vulnerable population, so on their record, or something related to driving that that shouldn't be there. So we do a background check. We check their car over. We use the same method that Holly uses and has worked in the past for her for the vehicle inspections, and then of course just a license, registration, and insurance, and then a desire to help others is what we're looking for.
If somebody that would be interested in this, do they call Holly or Kaylee?
Either, and then on here is there's a website, you can just go out but yeah, either one of us can contact.
Okay.
And there's a website, you can go out and actually fill out the application, it's in here.
Volunteerdriver.org is a really helpful site. It's where you fill out the application, but then it also answers a lot of the questions for
Volunteer drivers.
Volunteerdriver.org.
I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
I use my own car. That's what we're supposed to do. I use
Correct.
my own car, and I get 58 cents a mile for using my car.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And see, Phoenix is doing this, like Kaylee said, in other states. We're the first site here in Wisconsin. And what they want to do is bring an affordable ride to an individual who might be low income or just starting a new job. Because anybody could use Uber or Lyft and get a ride. But the cost of that is not what the clientele that we deal with can afford. So basically the client, the person needing the ride, pays 58 cents a mile, okay? Which is much more affordable.
Sure, absolutely.
And then there's a booking fee. But we're trying to bring an option to an individual who, can't afford the Uber and Lyft. Yeah.
So the driver who wants to volunteer goes to, and fills out the form. The individual who wants a ride, do they also call you, or?
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't talk about. So our program right now, the Make the Ride Happen, we're based in Appleton, but we have a transportation call center. So anybody can call us and ask us questions. We'll try to educate them on their options. But then if we have a gap, they can book a ride through our call center with our volunteers.
Call center is where?
Right here.
That's you.
Yep.
They're working on the electrical things down below. Thank you.
Yeah, so the other piece that Phoenix is giving us in this project is they're giving us a 24/7 call. So they have a call center out on the East Coast, actually, that will be bringing. So when our office is closed, an individual could call. They could call this number, and then it's going to be dispatched to that call center. So that's another thing that this project is bringing us, because right now we're only open Monday through Friday till 4:30. So for those individuals who work second shift, or there's a value to having it on the weekends and the evenings too, because people work and have medical issues during those times as well.
Ask you, who pays for this now? Who pays Phoenix? I mean, where does that money come from? The county or the city or?
Well, what we did is this group of individuals that I said earlier, we applied for an Easter Seals grant. And this grant was $100,000, and it was focused on providing and helping us look at Winnebago counties and particularly the rural communities and connecting transportation. And part of the money was put in to my program to get us a website, and then the rest of the money we were able to secure with Phoenix. This was our solution, was we were going to expand my program a little bit more so people have more access to it. But then secondly, what is the solution? And so this is what we're hoping is going to be the solution. So that money allowed us to hire Phoenix and be our partner. It allowed us to have Kaylee involved in the project, and we have it for a year. And then after the year is up, if it's successful, then this is where we have to have the community engagement, because if it's successful, I'm going to need to find a way to fund it. And we're hoping that some of these employers will see the value in it and help us. And then kind of our next mission is the healthcare communities. And that's how it's being used. The program that we really researched was in rural Missouri. And Missouri is even more rural than we are. And they got their healthcare community to buy into it because they saw the value and how they could get those individuals, keep them healthy in their community. So that's what I'm hoping will happen here. Yeah.
So is your focus more that type, like for employable people, or people who are elderly and can't get out or have special needs? So which population are you serving mostly?
My program, Make the Ride Happen, is primarily focused for older adults and people with disabilities. That's been our focus all along. This project is going to go above and beyond that to fill, and the only reason we're starting out with the employers is because they're at the table. You know, they really have a problem. So, like I said, that's where we're focusing right now, and I'll explain later some of the partnerships that we already have. But our program has always been for the older adults and people with disabilities. Yeah. And our hope would be is this pot of volunteers would be available for any need. I mean, that's what we're hoping.
Okay, and did I understand correctly? Ron and I attended that meeting before Christmas, and Deb from Advocap with Advocap's volunteer program are interested in partnering also?
That's correct. We met with Deb since then, and she's very interested. So Deb Tower with Advocap has a pool of volunteers that provides rides for county individuals who need help. She does a lot of rides for the children who need to get to court dates and those kinds of things. And and she also does some disabled individuals and older adults. So she has the same issue. She's always looking for volunteers. So she attended that meeting and she saw how we could work together to recruit. So going forward, we're going to be partnering with Advocap on that because they have a presence in this community and are respected for what they do. So we see a value in partnering more closely with them because basically it's the same thing. She pays her volunteers mileage too. So we're hoping to capture. Yeah, she's very interested, and she's got some great ideas as far as what recruiting efforts that have been, valuable for her program that we're going to institute. And Phoenix is able to give us some support as far as marketing and stuff like that. That's the other piece of what they're providing because I don't have a whole lot of money for that.
Deb's last name is?
Tower. Right. It's Tauer, but she just got married, and I don't remember her married name. You don't remember, do you? Okay. So, sorry, Deb, if you're listening to this. Okay. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the partnerships that we've already tried to get, so you kind of know. Some of the other partnerships that we're working on are the Partnership Clinic that has a presence down here in Oshkosh. We're going to be working with them on some of their clients, and they're always calling us, looking for help to get some of their clients to both the Oshkosh and the Appleton facility. We're also working with Forward Services. They provide assistance to people who need job training and hooked up with.
Is that in here?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Partnership Clinic isn't. This was written
Oh,
before partnership.
was it?
Before
Okay.
we had the conversation with partnership.
Okay.
So, well,
But why don't you talk a little bit about the Economic Development Corporation and that whole project?
yeah,
area?
the Greater Oshkosh Economic Development Corporation, or GoEDC, received a grant so that they can work with us and provide subsidies for employment transportation. So they are providing a reduced rate, even more so for people that are going from home to work or work to home. So it's going to be for the rider. They don't have to pay the booking fee, and it's only 25 cents a mile to get to and from work. And a lot of the businesses that they're working with are here in Oshkosh, so people can get to work or get home from work, but they can't do the other leg of the trip because they're able
Sure.
to take the bus for one
Sure.
way. And so that's been one of the things with them.
Yeah, so we helped already. We helped a refugee who came to your community. It was a brother and sister, and they both had training. They were fluent in English, and they were able to secure a seasonal position with Silver Star. So, but their shift was 4 to 8. So they took the bus to work, but then they had an 8 o'clock return. So we were able to help them during their seasonal job, and that allowed them to get some experience to hopefully secure a more permanent position. Another example that we're working on right now is an individual who lives in Appleton and teaches at your university. And because of some medical issues, she can't drive for 90 days. So she needs a ride from Appleton to her job 3 days a week, early in the morning, that she can't use the bus. So that's another scenario of how we're trying to help people through the use of some very good volunteers. We're also looking at partnering with the city of Amro. They have a desire to recruit some volunteers just in their community. So that's another partnership that we're trying to do. Again, that community feel, of having people that you know in your neighborhood helping others. And, some of the questions we get is, how are these drivers, looked at? Are we doing a background check on them? Yes. Are we meeting them in person? Yes. So we're trying to bring some of those risks. Anything
Your
else?
time's up.
Yeah, I guess.
Holly,
I do
does it-
have a time frame. I don't want to be
Holly,
respectful of your time.
does it mean that you're expecting the greatest demand, at least for the employment part, to be around shift changes?
Yeah.
People getting to work, getting back home from work? So those would be the times when your demand for these drivers. is
Like
gonna be
you've
the
had
greatest?
some people request already, haven't you? Like through forward services. What
Yep.
times were those around?
I've heard 8 o'clock shift times, 3 in the morning shift times. Yeah. 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, though, is a common one that we've been
That
seeing,
you've been
which is a
hearing.
bit easier. to-
Yeah.
You have a sense of the demand or the pent-up demand that's not being met yet, as far as how many volunteers and
We really don't.
talking
We know
hundreds
it's
of
out there
yeah,
because the
okay.
people call us, but we really don't. Now,
Okay.
the other piece of this that we're trying to engage the employers on is, for instance, those 2 people that worked at Silver Star.
Right.
Could they connect with their coworkers who do drive, come to work together and see
Sure.
that individual who's driving could get the 38 cents, 58 cents a mile?
Oh.
So that's one of the things that we call it, what do we call it?
Ride sharing?
Ride sharing. So that's the other thing that we're trying to get some employers to consider. That they could help their coworkers.
Sure. A win-win situation.
Sure.
And one of your medical establishments here indicated to us that they have a requirement to their employees to give back. And, he said this might be a really good way for some people to give back. If they're coming to work anyway and so-and-so needs a ride, they could get their 58 cents a mile. So, those are some of the things that we're having conversations with different people in your community and the rural communities. Because that's another thing we're seeing is that the rural communities it's even harder. So, anything else, Kaylee, that I missed?
One thing I want to ask you,
Sure.
it seems like today, years ago, I'm going back, I'm an old timer, I guess I call it. People work from 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7. Now they're working 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 3 in the morning, just like you said.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what you said before. Maybe you can get somebody in that plant to take them other people home because everybody don't own a car. They can't drive. If you could take care of that, I think you'd have it made.
Yeah, one of the communities that I'm working in right now in Wapaka County, Tyson Foods, they have just the hardest time getting people and keeping them. And they have all different different start times, I guess. And they are struggling because they have shifts that start at 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and yeah. So that's what they're hoping to do is, and they said they have a fair amount of employees that come from the valley because they pay pretty good. So, yeah.
I guess then one thing we didn't cover, talking about employers and trying to get them on board for ride sharing, the hesitancy is the liability of it all. Even if they're not on the clock, if their employees aren't on the clock when they're driving the other employees, if they put the idea in the head of the employee that, they could do this, they feel responsible and liable for if anything were to happen, and worried about kind of the repercussions of that. So that's a barrier that we're running into with them. And insurance-wise, the way that this works, because we're partnered with Phoenix, the volunteer drivers that we have are covered under excess insurance that Phoenix has. So it's just like if you were employed somewhere driving someplace and you got in a car accident, it's first your insurance and then your employer's insurance. So.
Did you have anything to add to that from public health perspective?
Well, from public health, I mean, Kaylee has definitely been working really hard on this aspect of it. We have staff that are involved in several aspects of transportation, and our goal is always to have Winnebago a healthy place to live, work, and play. And so we do see the barriers of the transportation, and we are kind of looking at how can we work with the community and where can we be involved to kind of help with those. So we do a lot of the active transportation stuff, and biking and walking and like trails. We have staff involved with Fox Valley Thrives. They have a transportation team. They're involved in the rural transportation, the Winnebago Catch a Ride. They're involved in transit. We're on the Specialized Transportation Committee. So we are in the community. We are working on the transportation issue with others and other groups. And, we see it being a barrier, and there are gaps.
If you remember, was it last month or the month before, or the time before, Julie Maslowski brought up a program, or together we brought up a program through Lyft, and there were a couple of other providers, partnering with medical agencies where people were missing their appointments regularly because of lack of transportation. And it was something that they felt was very beneficial. And there's been, to my understanding, there's been some talks locally of trying to replicate some form of that. And as we're talking about this today, you're talking providing transportation for younger folks, but it's an ideal opportunity for retirees to do something good for the community as a whole, because they've got a few extra hours here and there to fill in.
And our goal is to make this very seamless. We do this now with our volunteers that I have, so we have technology to make it seamless, easy. If you like talking on the phone, we're going to talk to you on the phone and give you your rides. If you like the internet, we're going to email them to you. We're going to do whatever makes it smooth and easy for the individual to volunteer.
Sounds like a great program.
So please help us get the word out. If any of you serve on other committees or are involved in your church, the only way we're going to get this going is if Kaylee and I do a lot of this. Get out in the community and get it out and about. So if you do have any connections at your church or anything, it would really help us get the word out.
Give me another one of those, because I am on a committee.
Okay. One of these you want? Okay. Are there any left? Okay. You can have as many as you want. They're
if you-
free today. Just know that the mileage reimbursement is 58.
Okay.
Okay, these were printed last year.
And if you want to email us or email me
Okay.
the PDF for that poster,
Oh, sure.
we'll send it out to everybody on the committee and use it going forward with
Thank
some of
you.
our other committees.
Holly, has there been publicity in the Northwestern and Oshkosh Herald and so forth regarding this initiative yet? Or is that
Help me, Kaylee.
I would say a little bit in the
Little bit.
beginning, but what we've been running into is we keep meeting people that know they need to help people get places, and we're not finding the volunteers to do that. So we're being very careful on sharing too much of this because we're going to find more riders than we're going to find enough
Sure.
drivers for. So
Yeah.
And there was an article in the Herald when we first, this last fall. And
Okay.
we're partnering with Phoenix. We're making a video right now to highlight some of our successes that we're hoping to show. We're looking at some creative ways of doing that. One of them was to get, when you go to the movie and you have those little ditties before the movie. We're looking at doing something like that at one of the local cinema here. And then there is a Facebook page, and we should talk about the newsletter a little bit. Can you talk about
we have
that?
a newsletter as well that should come out twice a month. And so it's now sharing updates of what's happening.
And that's on
So-
Facebook, right?
Nope, it isn't. It's an email list, so
Do you guys have any creative ideas of how, because the newsletter is nice, it kind of talks about how the program's working. Could we put that somewhere?
You can certainly email it to me, and we can look for some different resources.
Yeah, you know
to
what,
put in.
wouldn't that be a good way to help? Okay,
I mean, it doesn't cost you much to do a new email list.
thank you.
See, right now, you're trying to recruit drivers without recruiting riders.
we
That's sort of it.
because we're working with Go EDC and Forward Services, we know the riders are waiting.
Yeah.
Right. One of the things that Deb has done in the past, and I'm not sure who paid for it was almost like an ad, spotlighting a particular driver and why they were doing it and what they feel that they get back for their time. And I'm sure that the Herald would be willing to work with you on something like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And possibly, the Amro Herald also. Winnie County News.
Yeah. And then Deb had another good idea about doing, I guess she's done this in some of the rural communities, is to find like the local diner. And then she said, go in and ask him if you could put little table tents.
Oh, Jasper's out of Pickett.
Is that a good one? Okay.
There's lots of them go for fish fry or
Okay.
ice cream. But also even the meal sites.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, some of the folks there don't have transportation, but others do, and they like to chat. So maybe just picking someone up along the way as they're headed for somewhere.
Holly, could you clarify a little bit more on, I know you've talked about this already, but how the payment part works? Sam,
For the driver?
For the driver, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
giving somebody
I
a-
can speak to both. Okay, so for the driver, again, this is meant to be kept simple. There is no money transaction between the driver and the rider.
Good, okay.
So the driver, when they say that I want to be involved in this, we're going to be asking them for how they would like the money to be given to them. And in most cases, that would be a checking account or whatever you want to do. But it can be done on the technology. So once you give them,
Deposit.
yeah, direct deposit, there you go. So, and then at that same time, what I'm finding is some of the drivers that I've been talking to that drive for me, they're like, I don't want to deal with that 15 cents. That's not why I do it, blah, blah, blah.
So they can designate a nonprofit to donate that money back to. So an example of that would be, I spoke to a veterans group, and there were some people on that group, and they said, I want that money to go back to the veteran. I don't want that money. So if they provide me their W-9 for that nonprofit group, then we can have that money go to them. And it'll all be done through the banking system, and they won't no money. And the same is true for the rider. So when we started this rider that we're working on right now, she gave me her credit card, and we put that on the system, and then the system calculates the mileage, and then she pays for her ride then. But it's all done behind the scenes.
Okay, good. That's helpful.
Any other questions? Any other information down there? Well, thank you very much. It was very
I appreciate the
informative.
opportunity, I really do.
Help me make this goal. So we can help people.
I'm wondering, it
Thank
might
you.
be well to have them back in a couple of months just for an update on
I think so.
how's it going and
That would be
how else
great.
can we help and keep the ball rolling.
I'm going to be positive and tell you that we're going to be on the straight and narrow.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
participating.
Okay, we're going to backtrack just a second here on our agenda. Approval of the December 4th minutes.
Move approval.
Well, we can't take a vote on it, but we can do the updates that we need to do to it. And that would be, first of all, we got the email correcting the adjournment, folks who did the motions for the adjournment. And then we also have a correction with the spelling of Heidi's last name. And we took care of that this morning before the meeting. Does anyone else have anything that we can put towards it? And then we'll vote next time when we do have a full quorum. Okay, we'll just put that aside. And we've already covered Peggy's resignation. Old business, you were, each of the committees was challenged to, last time, to compare the 2012 with the 2017 strategic planning. And then for this month's meeting, to come up with the new goals and ideas for this year. So we'll go through that. Strengthening our partnership with neighborhood associations and other partners. Lurton?
On the, where was it? On the 5th, in December, I went and talked to Pam and handed out what Ron had given me, both the property fund alert and the Committee on Aging, our quarter page, and did that. And then last month, on the 15th, I attended the, as you suggested, the Go Neighborhood. And I, one, reinforced the idea that we have overlapping people we're concerned with. Our idea is to have the quality, improve the quality of life of all seniors, and they are trying to improve the quality of life of the seniors in their neighborhood. I asked if they had, and if they didn't, would they seriously consider having a list or a way of identifying the seniors in their neighborhood? And then could they have a very brief survey on the quality of life that the seniors felt they had, some kind of a rating scale, a 10 to 1 or a 5 to 1, and then followed up with what the seniors in their neighborhood felt would most improve their quality of life. And if it would also be interesting if they would do that survey to everyone in their neighborhood to see if there are distinctions between that the seniors have issues that the rest of the people in the neighborhood don't have. I asked them if they knew about the ADRC. I asked the seniors if they knew about that. And then I asked them if when they talk to their seniors, would the seniors like to have somebody from our organization or from ADRC visit them at someplace in their neighborhood? And then I suggested the possibility, as we have it on thing, of would they like to have it from their neighborhood, have a champion of seniors? And we'll see what their response is.
Okay, anybody have any questions for him?
Sowed a lot of seeds. So what's your timetable for getting some feedback, Lurton? The next meeting or whenever they get time?
I'm open to whenever.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Moving on, improving access to affordable transportation and delivery services for seniors. Peggy helped a lot prior to her resignation. We're missing one member that was going to present part of this, so I'll take her part and mine. We talked about continuing to determine what is the current situation with providers, committees working on the subject, costs, gaps in service, etc. And it's ever changing because as new programs are implemented, some are merged, and unfortunately some are discontinued. Connect with various transportation providers as well as healthcare providers to determine the number of missed appointments due to lack of transportation. In assessing the current transportation gaps by collaborating with other community partners, including but not limited to East Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission, Making the Ride Happen, the Health Department, ADRC, and identifying gaps in using the power of the Committee on Aging meetings being televised and archived by Oshkosh Media to share the information from the groups that are already involved, to promote the development of the comprehensive 24/7 transportation program for seniors and disabled, which you just heard is already coming into play, provide a full range of transportation options, expanding hours of services, and again, making the ride happen, and their collaborators are working towards that. And there's always a bit of confusion on door-to-door service. Most times it's, in actuality, when you're using the cab or cabulance, it's sort of the driveway, outside the front door to the driveway or whatever. So door-to-door for the folks that are using cab, running Inc., or cabulance, actually they're assessed an extra small fee to come into the building and to get you out to the vehicle. Collaborate and strengthen partnerships with existing providers. And this is what Holly was just asking. Assist in recruiting volunteer drivers. And as those of us that have worked in the field with volunteers in the past, satisfied volunteers are our best recruiters. So if we can find one who's really happy and they talk to 2 or 3 others and we sort of reinforce it, that's really going to help. Advocate for funding for transportation. We don't have access to the funding, but we can sort of search out where it is and advocate with the partners that actually have the ability to go after those grants or other funding. And again, using the power of our meetings to communicate with and educate seniors. Claude?
That identify different types of delivery services benefiting seniors and how to access them. The Winnebago County Nutrition Program, the home delivery meals, and we have prescriptions through Armoro Pharmacy. I'm one of them. Hometown Pharmacy. It says many local stores have online ordering. Pick up at the store. Some allow the customers to remain in their car and bring the merchandise out, while others require the customer to go into the store. Several restaurants not having their own delivery service, partner with food dudes, I never heard of them before, but whoever they are, or other delivery services for an added fee. Use the power of OCA meetings being televised, archived by the Oshkosh media to share the information regarding existing services. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for us?
Maybe
Comments?
just to clarify, Food Dudes, there's about 7 or 8 different restaurants, I think, in town, where you can have food delivered.
And
to
there's
your door?
Grubhub, and
Grubhub.
it seems like every week there's a new one that's
New
that's
term.
popping up.
I never heard of that before.
Oh,
Great service.
I have a coupon
Okay.
for a free delivery. I
you
just
go.
haven't used it yet.
Oh.
Okay, Jean, create community design and policy that supports an age-friendly community?
Great. This section of the strategic plan is being an advocate for government policies that support age-friendly communities. So in your packet, you'll find that the education on livable and age-friendly initiatives. So the second page has got the 8 domains of an age-friendly community, and is the city of Oshkosh, are they working within these 8 domains? So what I did was I kind of took a draft on the last page, and with your help too, to help fill in the gaps. As we look at our outdoor spaces in our buildings, I listed some examples: transportation, housing, social participation, respect and social loneliness, civic participation and employment, communication and information, community and health services. So if you could each take this section and also fill in the blanks and then give me your ideas and your thoughts, because if you're out and about in different areas of the community, take a look at all of these domains and see where we possibly would find some gaps that don't create a friendly community for aging. And if you could, I don't know, I guess give me the ideas for next week, or excuse me, next month, and then I can add to the list. And also with that, engage general population in discussing policies. So if we had any issues or individuals that want to come to our meetings to discuss any city policies. Convene key partners and ordinance changes. So we're talking more about the city council members, committee on aging, members serving and advocates, and then if we have other advocates that we would want to name also to come to one of our meetings to help with any of ordinance changes in the future. And then the last one is identify city ordinances, and these are just examples of some of the ordinances that I found, and that would pertain a little bit more towards older adults. But obviously, if you looked at all the city policies, there are numerous policies that relate to just about anybody in the community. So our goal is to continue to support our older adult citizens in the city of Oshkosh. If any of them struggle with any ordinance, that we would have to be advocates to help them get through any changes. So that's it.
One of these should go
sorry.
to Julie and one to Sandy.
Yes.
Either in the mail or somewhere.
Okay.
Gene, just to clarify, regarding the 8 domains, are you wanting us to see if there's additional areas or to comment on the existing ones that you've got? Or both?
If you have any additional areas, add to the list.
Okay.
I was also thinking that I could create a survey for Lurton. You can take it to the neighborhoods
Yeah.
pertaining to
Right.
these domains. And then the neighborhoods can take a look at their area to see if they're compliant to kind
good
of
idea.
have some of those domains in their neighborhoods too.
Here comes
Gave it
Sandy.
the office?
I think the more we look at each one of those domains and really add on to it, we can really find that this community is probably following the 8 domains quite well.
Well, congratulations.
sorry.
We elected you to chair the Problems Coming Up Committee.
That's what, where my brain was.
Welcome, Sandy. Okay. Improving communication and visibility of available services to seniors. Ron, what part did you have Julie doing?
She was doing 3 and 4.
Okay.
Excuse me, 5, 6, and 7 rather.
5, 6, and 7. Okay, go ahead.
So if you want me to cover that, I will. But
Okay.
okay, we'll see when we get there. This subcommittee, improving communications and visibility of available services to seniors, is staffed, if you will, by Judy Ritchie, Julie Meslowski, Sue Ashton, and myself. And our focus is on the Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the 2017 strategic plan, which is essentially assessing and determining current situation, identifying gaps, determining Oshkosh Committee on Aging role in developing a plan to connect with partner agencies and collect information on true senior needs. So our action plan is broken up into 7 different sections, and I'll take the first 2. The first one has to do with continuing to invite individuals representing entities working with older adults to present at our Oshkosh Committee on Aging meetings. And you saw that this morning. That's been going on at least for the last year, and we think it's a good way to not only inform ourselves, but help get the word out because of these meetings being televised and available on the internet and YouTube and so forth. So continuing to invite people to come, for example, in addition to making the ride habit, and in Phoenix this morning, we're looking at Elder Rights Project for one of our monthly presentations, Bureau on Aging and Long-Term Care, the Nursing Home Ombudsman Program, the Winnebago County Health Department's evidence-based programs. There's a lot of great evidence-based programs that many people don't know about, and we'd like to highlight at least one of our, have one of our meetings highlight all the evidence-based programs that are available. The Winnebago County Nutrition Program and Community Gardens. I think Jean mentioned at our last meeting that there's been some changes in those areas. We'd like to see someone coming to one of our meetings to talk about that. Fox Valley Advanced Care Planning. We know that it's about 1/3 of our population have advanced directives, and we'd like to see that number increased, that percentage increased. I think it's April is the month that emphasizes advanced care planning and durable powers of attorney for health care and so forth. Adult protective services is another area that we'd like to have some emphasis at one of our meetings, talking about guardianships and protective services for older citizens and those with disabilities. Another one, accessing resource information. Now this would be with the ADRC Resources Directory, their website, and their ADRC committee, just to better understand how to use the tools that are existing in our community through the ADRC, and even demonstrating how to use their website, how to do a search on resources and that sort of thing. That can be viewed later. Another would be a K-9 officer, Fedig, with his dog Lando. I think Judy has already had some contact with Officer Fedig. Anyway, does narcotics searches and protection. and also a companion service dogs presentation. And if you have other ideas or things that you think would be very helpful for our committee to try and schedule for a meeting during the year.
Do you have contacts, for instance, with the community gardens? Is there a person that you would have in mind to bring?
I don't right now, but when we get to that point, we'll certainly be communicating with the right people to get the right presenters here. Do you have somebody in mind?
No, but I would like to know, because I'm going to speak at the next Go Neighborhood meeting of the neighborhood representatives to see if they have an interest in identifying city-owned property that could become gardens for the neighborhood. And so I'd like to be able to speak to a person that
Yeah, okay.
in there other than the city. The city can tell us where in the neighborhood, but the neighborhoods have to say, yes, this is something we'd like to take up.
Sure, okay. Jean, do you know somebody right now?
Lori from Advocap.
Lori?
Lori.
Okay, if you call.
Lori from Advocap.
Lori from Advocate, I've got to call Advocate on it.
Yep. Call Advocap and ask for Lori. She'll tell you all about
Fernandez.
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 Yes.
Great. Okay. The second area that we are looking at some action steps on is to continue to get service and resource information out to seniors and the wider community. And there's a host of ways we intend to continue to do that or to expand to do this. One would be televising our monthly meetings and the Service Resource Agency's presentations. So what was shared this morning is, we hope, takes another leap out as people listen to it and watch it on television and so forth. Distributing our quarter sheets. We're trying to make this available everywhere. So if you don't have some to be handing out with your smaller groups or whatever, we've got a pretty good supply, I think, of these available.
So far.
And we'll get more if we need to. So we plan to continue to distribute that to kind of tell our story a little bit in terms of what we're here for. Encouraging communications via the Neighborhood Association leadership, which is something Lurton is taking a lead on, and Zandy's been involved in that as well. In attendance and participation and presentations at community groups, examples at the ADRC Resource Committee, the Transportation Advisory Committee. So we have a role in making presentations too about what we do. Another one is the Oshkosh Committee on Aging booth participation at the Senior Expo for this year, 2019. That's October 1st, by the way, if you want to get that on your calendar. The State of the City meeting, March 18th, that's coming up much sooner. And Caring for the Caregiver Conference on April 1st, and any other events during the year that we think would be helpful for our committee to have our booth at as one of the booths available for people to get information about what's available in our community.
Have we ever been at a farmer's market?
I don't think we have yet.
Good idea.
That's a possibility.
Sure.
We will depend on staff, us, being there, of course, to
Well, Heidi, if you're appointed, you can be the first one to volunteer.
I would be happy to.
there we go.
I mean, it would be great, a
Yes.
great experience.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it also helps promote what it is we're here for, and helping people understand that there is such a thing as the Oshkosh Committee on Aging, and we care about services to older folks.
Do you have this?
Another would be
I
to
don't.
promote the
Something we-
distribution
like
and
the
use
booth.
of
We can
the
handle it.
ADRC resource directories and that website. Seeking informational improvements to the Oshkosh Committee on Aging section of the Oshkosh City website. There's a number of things that we had talked about being included on our page that would make it much more user-friendly, and I guess it make it more likely that people would be able to access additional contacts and connections, information for seniors that we'll continue to work with the city on. Another is to report new and updated information on programs, policies, and resources from the federal, state entities. We try at each meeting to bring up to date on various things that are going on. For example, scam alerts, DHS, Department of Health Services, health and safety alerts. Sue's been involved in bringing a number of those. So when appropriate, we'd include them as on-screen graphics during our meetings, and also highlighting and promoting upcoming senior community-related events at our meetings. For example, the State of the City meeting that's coming up, Unity in the Community, another community event, April 13th. So we want to try and promote those things that are going on in Oshkosh as we go along throughout the year. Section 3, Sue, if you
Yeah. Well, we're going to try to inventory the true needs of seniors and connect them with all senior organizations and services that are available. And one of the ways we did that was like this morning, like Ron had just said, making the ride happen is something that maybe not everybody knows about, but we're trying to bring it to the table here so people will learn more about what is available in our community. So we also seek input from services and providers when we attend and participate in their meetings, which was mentioned, I think, in your report, Ron. Secure information on needs via conversations with concerned citizens, either one-on-one or small group meetings. Myself, I have some friends who are in their 80s, and they really don't get out much. They go to church. That's about it, They don't attend the senior center. They don't go to meetings. They're just not involved, and yet they have needs that are really not heard. And so we would like to hear from people like that. How do we reach them? Send a letter to, to certain people, or, talk somewhere where they're going to hear us. It's kind of hard to figure out, but that's something we're kind of looking at. Even like a town hall meeting where you just meet and people talk about their needs there. But there again, not everybody gets out to get there. It's the transportation again. So there's an issue there.
Or do they speak up in a group?
Yes.
And if they go to church, maybe the church would be interested in having some facility.
Yep. And there are churches who welcome, speakers, through their older adult programs, because in the past I used to speak to some of them. Now, some of those, I don't know if they still even exist, but it's something we could find out and see if they'd be willing to hear us. It would be, a way to get the message out. And then the number 4 is continue to educate seniors and organizations that serve seniors on the programs and facilities for them to use. Publicize and get the word out for the outreach programs. There again, work with the Oshkosh Northwestern and, the Oshkosh Herald, maybe the Omro Herald, the newspapers. And continue to do this via televised, our meetings monthly, and member reports individually, and attending some of their meetings and one-on-one or in small group contacts. So I don't know what happened to my voice there, but hopefully you heard some of it.
Mine is not going to be a lot better. Number 5 is continuing the efforts to create communication tools for services on the City of Oshkosh website by enhancing the Committee on Aging page to help viewers locate past meetings, presentations by topic, linking community services, educational webinars, and other pertinent information on the Committee on Aging page. Continue to televise the Committee on Aging meetings on Spectrum Channel 10, YouTube, Hulu, Roku, AT&T, Uverse, and other venues as developed by Oshkosh Media, and they seem to find more and more all the time, as well as being available for viewing on the Oshkosh Media website. Increase the number of seniors with advanced directives by partnering with Fox Valley Advanced Care Planning during the month of May, and that may be corrected to April, to help promote the importance of completing durable powers of attorney for health care and for property and or finances, Also providing information for local advanced care planning events, such as one done at Aurora Medical Center, links to officially recognized forms for the state of Wisconsin, etc. Continue taking advantage of opportunities to increase the visibility of the committee in the community through the year via televised monthly meetings available for replay on the city website, as well as Oshkosh Media several times a week, member attendance and participation in various community agency meetings, and participation with a booth at the Senior Expo, State of the City, caring for the Caregiver Conference, and other local events when appropriate. And if you notice, a common thread through a lot of that is our partnership with Oshkosh Media and the services that they do for us in televising the meeting, archiving the meeting, and how accessible they are. So we have to give a really great thank you to them.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Do we have a Facebook page?
No, we don't.
Okay.
And
Be a
we have talked about it. The city folks that we work with in regard to some of the communication have conflicting opinions on that, so we're still building our case. And any other questions on that?
I'd just like to have a copy of what you three were reading, because I
Okay, sure.
don't need to take notes since it's already written down.
And we'll gladly email those out.
Thank you.
I'm wondering if you could, I think I'd send it to you, if you could just.
And I'll email mine. Really good thing happened today is that Jean, our transportation, and the communication, we come in with a nice, obviously we ad-lib a little bit in there, but coming in with something like that, it makes Bobby's ability to take notes much better. And also, if it's been emailed to her, she's able to archive it. And I think going forward, having it emailed to each of us who have email, or copies printed for the couple that are not able to print, would be really good. And it's just one more thing that I think puts us a step ahead of where we used to be. I think Zandy would agree with that.
Yes, I would.
The
non-printing part especially.
Right, we understand. Okay, in the interest of time, since we are past our 1 hour, and we now have a quorum, I would accept a motion to omit other business for today and put that on the agenda for next month, and to adjourn the meeting. Could I have a motion?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?